Hi, everyone, and welcome to this Banter Blitz. My name is Tor Fredrik Kaasen. I'm an international master from Norway. I'm here doing my second Banter Blitz for Chess 24. The first time was a lot of fun, so I'm sure this time also will be a lot of fun. Let's play. So let's first look at play versus you must lose to this bugs. I think I played him in the first Banter Blitz as well. So let's see. This is a 3+0 game, so it's going to be a very fast game. Don't have so much time to talk, so I would maybe give a slight preference to if you could challenge me to a 3+2 game. So here we have the Najdorf defense. It is what I usually play with the black pieces and the G3 system. It's a very positional and slow system, but it for sure has some value. So let's go bishop e7, short castles. And castles, if white would have played with a4 instead of short castles, maybe knight to c6 was an idea. So, okay, it's always very hard to know exactly how to play these positions. Let's go b5. It's the usual move in the Najdorf. Maybe planning to go bishop to b7. Now he goes bishop to g5. I now want to go knight b7 so that I can recapture on f6 with a knight on d7 and then keeps on fight over the d5 square. It's very important in the Najdorf to not lose battle for the d5 square, as if white gets a knight on d5, it could be very unpleasant. So now white takes on d5, takes an f6 and go knight to d5. So now I'm not sure exactly how I should play this position. I guess I should take on d5. I guess white is going to go queen takes d5, as if white now takes with the pawn, the d5 square is not really so weakened anymore. So shouldn't be so dangerous. Yeah, queen takes d5, and I go bishop to e6, now protecting my rook on a8 and developing with tempo. Queen to d3. So this is maybe a bit like running into bishop c4, but I'm not sure if it gives me anything right now. So let's just play queen to c7, develop. I have a small trick up my sleeve here, is that in case of knight to c3, I want to go bishop to c4, which would fork the rook and queen. So yeah, white now wants to go knight to c3 and knight to d5. So maybe it then makes sense to go b4 to not allow the knight on e2 to come to c3, where it could go to d5, could potentially be a bit unpleasant. So yeah, on c3 I'm just going to go a5. It's very important to keep the c3 square in my hands. Rook to c1, now threatening to go c takes b4, so I'm going to go queen to b6 myself. Maybe at some point I could consider taking the pawn on a2 if the chance is still there. Though I usually don't take such pawns lightly. It must be for a good reason. Yeah, so now c4 is played. So it will be very hard for the knight to come to c3 now, but also not easy for me to make progress. At some point I have to speed up anyways, as this is a 3+0 game. And by the way, I would love if you could write something in the chat. I'm looking at the YouTube chat mostly, so there you can ask me any questions you want. And yeah, so we can see. So now queen to d2, not sure what's the idea. Let's go rook to c8, threatening the pawn on c4. And okay, maybe it's a bit too early to play f5, as maybe white could take and maybe go bishop to d5. Suddenly the square could be a bit weakened. But okay, after king to h8, I feel like I'm ready now to push f5, though it's very committal and could also backfire for sure. Maybe after e takes f5, I should go rook takes f5 as to put more pressure on the f2 pawn. Maybe, though usually I take with the pawns in situations like this. Yeah, okay, let's take with the pawn. It feels the most correct. Bishop to d5. So my opponent is also playing very well here. It makes perfect sense what he's doing as well. I'm sure my opponent is a strong player. Bishop, okay, so I can take on d5, but maybe it gives a bit easy play. So I'm going to go bishop to d7 here, but the position is very crazy. It's very double-edged, to be sure. So let's see, king to g2. Let's go rook f6. Maybe the rook can swing to g6 and participate in some attack. Yeah, so let's bring the rook to g6. I'm not sure what is going on here. It's very unclear. Soon the time factor will, of course, play a huge role. Let's go bishop to f6. The bishop is a bit more useful on f6 than on e7. Okay, so let's see. Maybe some idea could be to go h5, h4. Maybe it's a bit too slow. Okay, I'm fine with changing the queens and going h4, loosening up the f4 pawn. But my opponent is really playing quite well here. Let me now take on g3. Rook takes. Let's take back. And yeah, rook to e8. My opponent has really played quite a nice game here, but just was a bit too slow with the time, it seems. h7. Well, I shouldn't speak too soon. Maybe I will get mated in the end. Finally, I won on time. But the position, okay, maybe I'm slightly better, but the position was quite unclear. Thank you so much for the game. It was, yeah, a big fight. Okay, let's try a game against Turque Matitia. So let's see if it's still here. Okay, my rating now is over 2800, so that's good. So let's start. I play one e4. Let's see, one e5. Okay, just a classical response to e4. d6. So this, I believe, is called the Philidor. Knight takes d4. So let's see how it's going to play. Bishop to e7. Yeah, so I've seen that this way of playing has become quite popular nowadays, just to develop like this. Not sure what's the best way here for me to play. Bishop c4 is, generally speaking, how I like to play these positions, but you also have to watch out for knight takes e4 motives here, and d5. Maybe even right now it's playable. I'm not sure. Okay, bishop g4. Let's go f3. Maybe black is playing in the fashion like in the Grunfeld, like going bishop to g4, bishop to f3. Yeah, I think this line has a reputation of giving white a slight advantage. That's for sure. So I think white is slightly better, but it's certainly playable also for black. But c5 made the d5 square quite weakened, and now I'm thinking, how can I make the best use of this? So I'm thinking perhaps to now take off the bishop on e7, getting the bishop pair, and after queen takes e7 to go bishop to g5, pinning the knight on f6. And my next move here is to go knight to d5, which pins the knight and also threatens the queen. And this is really quite unfortunate for black here, as the king side will be very weak now. So let's take on f6 now, and black now is forced to go g takes f6, after which I go bishop takes h6, and I'm a pawn up with a lot better pieces and a lot of weak squares for black king. So let's see. Yeah, rook to e8. Maybe my pawn on b2 is hanging. Maybe I shouldn't care, but okay. Let's go c3, just to not allow black any counterplay. If I were black here, maybe I would play f5, try to get some play going, though it also weakens the king side a bit more. So it's unsure if this would help so much. Queen to h5 seems like a logical move. Let's go bishop to f4. I would, by the way, prefer for the next challenges if you could challenge me to free +2. That way I have a bit more time explaining my thoughts, and we won't come down to this flagging. I don't really like it, and it's not so much fun. So I would appreciate it if it was possible. Okay. So now black gave me a second pawn up, but now we have opposite color bishops. So maybe in some endgames it could be some drawing tendencies. So if I could win the d6 pawn as well, I think this would just be too many pawns. And with 3 pawns up, I think I should be here the favorite of winning the game. But black has fought quite well after getting under heavy pressure in the opening. Okay, so let's go. Bishop takes d6. Now with 3 pawns up and the bishop on g6 being quite out of play, this should be quite nice for me. And now rook to d7. Now the rook is unprotected on d file, so I now go bishop to f8, which checks the black king. And after black takes, I'm going to take the rook on d7. Always good to look out for these kind of things. Yeah, rook to b8. Let's go rook to d1. This endgame should be completely winning for white. Let's just go g4 to make sure that this bishop on g6 won't get into the game. So maybe next I can march my king up. Okay, black wants to go king to g5, so let's go h4 to not allow him. It's important in chess to not allow your opponent what's his plans. So let's just bring the king up. King g6, king to g3. Next, I'm going to double my rooks on the 7th rank, which will be bad news for black. Rook to d7. Rook f8, okay. I take another pawn. King g6, let's go h5 check. King h6, but now I think the f7 pawn is falling also. I have to be slightly careful about some stalemate ideas, but I don't think that we are quite there yet. So let's go rook takes f6 and just rook a6, just win another pawn. Yeah, okay. It's g5. Didn't think this position is really signable, but we can play it out. G6. Soon some back rank issues is going to play in. Rook to a8 is coming, or my pawns are just going in. So yeah, let's see. But I think black fought quite well. It was just the opening which didn't really go in this way. So let's push the pawn to g8. Yeah, this loses the bishop. Now I really should watch out for stalemates. So, but okay, I should manage this. So let's go queen to f8 check. Rook to a7. Queen f6. And queen to d4 checkmate. Okay, so thank you so much for the game. It was a good game. So it was just the opening which didn't go the best for you here. Okay, so I see one challenge here from Monkey King. So yeah, it's challenged by 3+2. So I would again prefer if that's possible. So yeah, let's play here again against Monkey King. c4. Let's go e6, wanting to go d5, get a good hold of the center. I would appreciate if some of you could play the Catalan with the white sides, as I've just made a course on Chessable called Neutralize the Catalan, which is for the black side. So it would be great fun if I could showcase some of these lines here. But yeah, okay, bishop to h4. Let's castle. Yeah, so I think b6 here is called the Makagonov variation, or the Bondarevsky-Makagonov played throughout the whole chess history. c65 here, knight x5 is the main line. Maybe we can reach the Fischer-Spassky game, the game 6 of the match. So far, we are on good route to that. So I think Fischer here played bishop to e2, c5, and queen to a4, I believe was what he played. Yeah, so let's go bishop to e6 and general, I've learned that the bishop stands a bit better on e6 than on b7. In this kind of structures, it is a bit more useful. And so, yeah, these positions are very unclear. We can at some point potentially reach a hanging pawn structure, which is defined by me having the d5 and c5 pawn. So let's see, queen to a4, let's go knight to d7. Maybe next I want to go rook to c7 and rook to c8, double on the c file. So queen to a3. I know that one very usual maneuver here is either to go king to f8 or queen to f8. Let's go king to f8. It's a very modern move. So okay. Maybe next I could think about going c4. Could be an idea. Okay, let's try to play c4. This has the downside of releasing the tension on the queen side, but potentially if I could push my queen side going with a6 and b5, it could also be quite good. So now we exchange off the queens. I think I'm doing fairly well here. Like I should at least be equal, as my I have majority on the queen side, and they are quite far advanced. Yeah, now white waited with taking off my knight, so I'm going to use the extra option which white presented me. That is to play knight f6, maybe thinking about going knight to e4. Also, as the bishop is on b5, I could hit it with tempo, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to advance my queenside majority even faster forward, which I think is a good thing for me. So yeah, b4. I think I should have a very pleasant position by now. White probably wants to go f3 and e4 here. So that's really something I should watch out for. Also, if I go c3 here too early, maybe the knight could go to b3 and to c5. So maybe that wouldn't be so good. Let me go knight to e8 with the idea knight to d6. I think from here the knight could maybe be standing slightly better, and I could think about going f5 maybe, making e4 harder. So white here says that he's not going to wait around and is just going to go e4 right away. So here I have some options. Hi, coming student, how are you? Yeah, so I could here go c3, though after b takes c3, b takes c3, e takes d5, takes on d2. It's hard to say, but I feel like my passed pawn is really strong. So I'm going here for the c3 break. If I took on e4, the knight would maybe come to c5, and it maybe wouldn't be the best, though the d4 pawn could be quite weak. That's good. It's good that we're fine. So, okay, b takes c3, b takes c3. Now white either has to take on d5 or go like move the knight, but then the e4 pawn falls. I also have the option of taking back on d5. Okay, knight to b3 is played, so let's go d takes e4. Now I'm a pawn up, which is something I highly like. So let's see, g4. So white maybe wants to go a knight to c5 here. Yeah, knight to d6. My knight stands very well here. It's like a classic maneuver. Yeah, knight to c5. So I think as far as I can see, I can take the pawn on a2 here as well. Though then my beloved c3 pawn could fall. So let me rather then go knight to b5, aiming at the d4 pawn. Okay, it's good. Yeah, I got a bit worried there, trying student, that the sound goes off. So it's good to know that it's all working fine. Knight takes e4. So I feel like I'm slightly misplaying this, but still I should be doing quite well. I could go bishop to d5 to take off this knight, but let me just take the pawn on a2. Also from here, white won't have a4 ideas. So I'm 2 pawns up as far as I can see, or I'm 1 pawn up. I'm not sure. Okay, so now rook e1 with some discover check ideas. Let me just move my king out of the e file, I have a very strong passed pawn here on c3. So I should be doing well here again. But monkey king is a hard fighter, that's for sure. On bishop e2, maybe bishop c4 could be an idea, though there is knight takes c3 there, so maybe that wouldn't be the best. Okay, rook to a1. Let me go bishop to d5. I would love to get off this knight on e4. So yeah, f3. Let's go c2. It's the famous saying, passed pawns must be pushed. So they are much stronger when they're going forward. So let me also take the pawn on d4. And now in case of bishop to a6, I can do several things, but taking on a6 and going c1 looks quite cleanly winning also. So okay, king to f2. Let me go knight to b3, which hits the rook on a1 and also prepares c1 with a new queen. So I'm here going to win my material. So okay, knight to d6. Let me go knight takes a1, as after knight takes c8, rook takes c8, c1 is still coming, and I'm going to make a new queen. So that's why monkey king resigned. Thank you so much for the game. I think after you played bishop to b5, probably you should have taken my knight on d7, as in the game my knight proved to be very strong, and I won a lot of tempos on the bishop on b5 with a6 and b5. But good game. Play another game here. Let's play Kasparov fan. Kasparov is one of my favorite players, so it's always fun to play against the Kasparov fan, for sure. So let's see. Okay, so if your name is Kasparov fan, I'm sure you're going to play the King's Indian or something like this. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, d4, knight f6. Let's go c4. Yeah, g6 is coming. Okay, I think I'm a bit scared, so I'm just going to play my g3 fianchetto setup. d5. I'm not sure if d5 right here is so common. Maybe it is. Yeah, takes on d5. Yeah, it's true. Kasparov and Tal is the favorite player for all dynamical players, and for just for chess lovers in general. Their games were really just an inspiration to watch. So castles. I have now quite a good center, but the idea behind the Grundfeld is to attack my center and to hope that to get counterplay, and that I've overextended myself, maybe is Black's argument. Though I think here I have quite a good version, and it seems very hard for Black to get in c5 at a good moment. And if this is the case, usually White gets the upper hand, as the center is quite important in chess, generally speaking. But in Blitz especially, and like it's very hard to prove things in chess. So okay, let me go e5. I feel like I have slightly better coordination of the pieces, so that I should try to make use of this. f4, just going forward. Bishop to c6. So now I have the possibility of going bishop takes b5 and bishop takes c6 rather, and then knight takes b5. But I don't really like it, as then I'm losing my light square bishop, and maybe my king could potentially be slightly weak. So I'm just going to go d5, giving my center even more momentum. And even though I played a g3 line, I'm still fine to play dynamically. But here, I think b4 is a blunder, as after d takes c6, the queen on d8 is hanging, and after queen takes d1, I have knight takes d1, which keeps my piece. So that's just a very unfortunate blunder. As far as I can see, now the queen on d8 is unfortunately hanging for Mr. Kasparov fan. So good game. Just was very unlucky with that the queen was hanging. Not so often that knight is on e8. Okay, but good game. Let's try a game against someone who challenged me very early. Let's try against win 3. It's a 3+0 game, so that's okay. It was very early challengers, so let's give win 3 a chance. Frank Marshall, yeah, Frank Marshall was a very strong player, also known for his Marshall Gambit. Also his very famous game, this golden game, yeah, it was this with queen to g3. So Frank Marshall, definitely a legendary player. So okay, let's see if win 3 is here. This challenge was sent quite some time ago, so maybe win 3 is not here. Let's give it 10 more seconds. So let's see. Okay, unfortunately, it seems win 3 is not here, so let's abort the game. Let's try a game here against Sispal from Greece. So this is sure going to be a fun game. Okay, d4, knight f6. Let's see. Knight to c3. So this has the idea of going e4. So I should better go d5 myself here to not give white the center in a Pirc fashion. So bishop to f4. I think I heard once Magnus Carlsen say that you should go like a6 in positions like this. So I'm sticking to that knowledge. So c5. The idea behind a6 is to not allow the knight coming to b5 and hitting the vulnerable c7 square. So knight to c6. But I noticed that these kind of lines have gotten very popular and that they are played very much in today's time. So I could go bishop to f5, but I'm slightly scared about g4 coming. Nowadays, you never know. So they're often playing things like this. I could also go queen to b6. It's a bit of a risky move maybe, but let's go for it anyways. On knight to a4, I'm going to go queen to a5 check, which hits both the knight and the king, so white must go c3, but maybe that would misplace the pieces slightly. Knight takes c6, b takes c6. So let's see. I'm happy to take with the b pawn as I am gaining more influence towards the center, and this is generally speaking a good thing in chess. So I could here go e6, but then my bishop on c8 will maybe be a bit out of the game. So I'm going to start here with bishop to f5. As white here played rook to b1, I feel like I'm justified developing my pieces before I'm castling, as the white setup is maybe not the most challenging, let's say. Bishop d3, I'm happy to just get rid of my light square bishop and then place my pawn here on e6. So yeah, this is also a common theme that your bishop on c8 is often quite bad on c8 if e6 has been played. So often it's good to get it out of the pawn chain. I'm really talking a lot about this in my course, Neutralize the Catalan, which you can see here on the screen. It's always the trouble. So here, I think I should be doing quite well. So let's go. Okay, I could go bishop to e7, but maybe knight f4 could be an issue. Queen to b5 though should be fine for me. Let's just go bishop to e7, knight a4, queen to b5. If white takes on b5, I get to go a takes b5 and maybe take the a2 pawn. Not sure if this was smart of me to allow. I could regret it very badly, but so is life. You have to take some risks. It was also possible to just simply go c takes d4 and then to go bishop to e7. Okay, d takes e5. So now I really think I should go queen takes c5, as if I took with the bishop, maybe knight to a4 would be annoying. Hola, hola, how are you? So yeah, castles. I think the position here is around balanced. I have quite decent pieces. White doesn't have so bad pieces. Also, the the only problem with having played the knight to c3 without having played c4 is that the c2 pawn is a bit sad that it can't go c4, and it's a bit backwards. That is why knight to c3 is not regarded as sound, let's say, as playing c4 before knight to c3. So let's see if white here will pay the price for this. So white now is thinking about playing e4. That's for sure. Let me go queen to a7. So I'm preparing to go c5 myself, which will get my center going. In chess, it's very good to have to get your center going, as that will give you many squares to put your pieces on good places in the board. So yeah, c5. I'm not sure what's the idea behind knight to e2. Doesn't seem like the knight has such a future. Maybe the idea was just to push c4 as my opponent just did. But that maybe shows that the whole knight to c3 move maybe wasn't the best, as white lost some time now. And I think my coordination here and quite good pieces should give me a slightly better position here. Yes, Chester, it's right. So my course is just on sale. So it will only be on sale for a few more days. So good to get a copy of it now while it's on sale. It's a bit more cheap than usual. So now I got a funny idea of playing queen to a6, d takes c4, and after queen takes c4 to go rook to d1. Okay, it's very unlikely that this is going to happen, but it has happened more crazy things in chess. So let's go queen to a6. I still have this hope that my tactic will work. Let's say white goes knight to a4, for example. Then I'm going to go, okay. So, okay, I should stop dreaming and playing better moves. D takes c4, okay, so not sure what's the idea. Maybe I should just go a4 here to make sure that the knight on d5 keeps being a bit more loose. At any moment, d takes c4 can make sure that the knight on b5 is in serious troubles, but just for now, it seems that white is holding on. But I still think it's more pleasant being black here solely on the grounds that my pieces have a bit better coordination and harmony. So bishop to e5, okay. Hello? Hi, is it on? Am I live now, yeah? Okay. Yes, so it seems that my internet connection got lost and I lost this game, which is a pity. I think I was doing quite well, but sadly lost on time. Nothing to be done about that. Good game, Cispal, unfortunately lost on time. So, okay, let's try another game then. Hopefully it won't happen again. Let's try again against Kitty, yeah. I think I played against you in the last Banter Blitz as well. We played a very interesting game. So let's see. Yes, Ispal, yeah, I lost my Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's not your fault. It's my own fault, so it's nothing to be sorry about. Thank you for the game. So, okay. D4. So let's play the main line of the Sicilian defense. I played it my whole life, both with white and black, so have quite some experience here. Knight to c6. So in the previous Banter Blitz, I was always playing the bishop to c4 line. So let's switch up a bit and play bishop to g5. I think, objectively speaking, the bishop to g5 move should be slightly stronger than bishop to c4, and it is what is being played the most nowadays. So it's definitely quite good. Let's go. I could go f3. I could also go king to b1. I don't think king to b1 is as often played as f3 and f4. So that also has the advantage of king to b1 to try to get your opponent a bit out of the normal steam. Let's go f3. This is a bit more positional way than the usual lines with f4. Yeah, so here Ubskiti takes on d4, not wanting me to get my bishop here on the d4 square. And h6, I'm going to go bishop to c1. I'm hoping that my bishop on c1 will both be a good defensive and attacking piece. This is sure a very ambitious setup by me, so it could definitely go both ways. Let's go g4. Now my idea is basically just to go h4 and g5, trying to get to the black king. It is whoever gets to the king first wins, usually. So it's very sharp. So d5 here, I could go into a French structure with e5, which is what I think I'm going to do here. So maybe here black wants to go bishop to c5 and later d4, which would put my rook under serious pressure. Maybe my my whole e5 was a bit too early. Okay, let's go f4 anyways. And my idea is that after bishop to c5, queen to d3, d4, I have knight to e4, which seems to me should just hold for me. So yeah, my knight on c3 is maybe slightly misplaced, so I should try to get it to the d4 square at a good moment. Though it seems like my position is slightly clumsy, so I should definitely watch out here. I think Ubskiti has played quite well so far. Okay, so b4. Let's go knight e2. Not so much choices. From e2, maybe my knight could come to f4 after I pushed f5 and knight to f4. Could be a plan also here for white. These positions are very double-edged, so it's just about who is fastest. So let's try to be fast. f5. Okay, bishop to c5. I could here go queen to f4. I could also go queen to d2. If I go queen to d2, maybe the e5 pawn will be hanging. So let's go queen to f4 rather, making sure that I will not lose my e5 pawn. I wouldn't necessarily be so scared losing this pawn, but it seems that I also lose my attack if I lose this pawn. So something I shouldn't allow. Castle seems quite risky here, in my opinion, as I could potentially go f6 here maybe, but f6, if I take on f6, queen takes h6, maybe black just takes back on e5 and there's no issues. So maybe it's interesting. Let's go h4 with the idea to go g5 then. It would, of course, be great for me to open up the h file. So, okay, queen to c7. Now he wants to go queen takes e5. Let's go g5 here, trying to open up the position fully. Queen takes e5. So yes, black is of course quite happy to get the queens off the board. Doesn't seem like I have much of an option though. Maybe I could go queen to g4, though this hangs this pawn. So let's go g takes h6 here. Maybe it's not so smart. Not sure. Takes. Okay, I've done more stupid things in my life. I've now calculated queen takes e2, and my idea there is queen to g5. That I'm going to hit the pawn on g7. So this is certainly very double-edged and could easily backfire. Yeah, but Obskiti just takes back on f4. Let's go knight takes f4. Now I'm also hitting the e6 pawn. I feel like this transaction of moves gave me some more initiative, and that I should here be doing quite well because of this. I think my pieces are a bit more active. But yeah, now it's okay. I'm also quite low on time here, so I have to play faster. Also, if now black takes on h6 at any moment, the g file could be opened up. So knight f6. Let's go. I could just take on g7 here and then go f takes e6, which should make the black king position quite weak. Maybe it was stronger to start with f takes e6, as maybe rook e8 here was an option, but yeah, then I probably had bishop to h3, so it should also have given me quite a nice position. Bishop d6. Let's then go rook to g1 with ideas of bishop takes d5 with the discovered attack. So still, if the queens are off the board, it seems that my attack is even stronger than it was before, which is a bit paradoxical, but I think it's all about who has the strongest pieces, basically. So now I could go bishop to h3. Also seems like quite a good move. Let's go bishop to h3 with the idea of bishop to f5 check, maybe taken on f7, and so on. Let include here bishop to f5 check just to get the king on a dark square, and then taking on f4. So I'm not sure if this was brilliant, as now my bishops are on the same rank as a rook on f8, but it seems to me at the moment that black does not have a way of punishing this in a good way, as bishop to e5 is coming. So let's see. This has definitely been a very tough battle. Obskitting is giving me a hard fight. So okay, let's take on d7 here. I think I should be here winning with good play, as I'm a pawn up and I have quite good attacking prospects still here. Let's go rook to g5 maybe with idea rook to g1. Also maybe I should bring my bishop into the action with bishop to e3 and bishop to d4, which would pin the knight, and I still have a dream about playing rook to g1 and rook h5 mate at the moment. So whether that is realistic, time will tell. Let's go bishop to d4. Hits the knight, kinda, but after knight e4, I'm still not entirely sure what to do. Okay, let's just take on f6 and go b3. I now want to go rook takes d5, and just getting into an endgame seems like a very wise thing to do, though it's very boring. Okay, rook takes a5, and this endgame should be quite easily won for me. So let's go a3. Yeah, and I have two pawns here, and I'm going to cut off the black king here from the queen side, and I'm just going to slowly push my pawns forward. So this should be quite easily winning here for white. I just have to watch out for some tricks here with not running my rook. But yeah, this is just a matter of technique, as they say. b4 and c6, but okay, it was a very interesting game. So maybe it was even possible for you to take on e2 when I played g takes h6. I'm not sure. I thought I had something here, but I'm not convinced I actually did. So it was very unclear. Okay, let's try a game against Chess Ig here. I think it's Lilia, so good luck. Let's see what you got. Seems like I lost quite a bit of rating when I lost on time in this one game. So that's of course a pity, but what to do? Let's see if Chess is here. Still not sure. Let's give it 10 more seconds, and if not, we can try someone else here. All right. Okay. Oh, just in time. Okay. The Caro-Kann. So let's go. The push Caro-Kann with bishop to f5. Before I used to play with h4, but I recently played a game this last weekend with knight f3. So let's try that. Bishop to e2. I'm not going bishop to d3 as that exchanges off this bishop on f5. And it's always like the whole idea behind the Caro-Kann is that the Lautzko bishop is out of the pawn chain on c8. And so I still argue that it is not necessarily a weak piece, but that my bishop on e2 is still better. So f6 is a very aggressive setup to be sure. Let's go bishop to f4. And maybe this is just running into g5 and I'm going to get crushed, but also that weakens the black king slightly, maybe, perhaps. So we will see. A noob. Okay, maybe you can call me a noob in chess. I think everyone has a lot to learn in chess. So yeah. I think Magnus Carlsen once said that everyone below 2700 is putzers. So, but okay, it's all relative. So yeah, okay. c3. So my idea behind c3 is to keep a fluid pawn center to keep the pawn chain solid. Rook to c8. Maybe now I can take on f6. I'm not sure if rook to c8 is like connected with also playing in the center. So it seems like the black center here could potentially be slightly weak. Now maybe bishop takes b1 could be an idea here. And my f4 bishop is hanging, though I have bishop to g5 tricks. So maybe I should just ignore it. So I like to play it a bit more safe. Now it's like always a question, has black weakened itself too much, or does black have enough dynamical play for these pawn weaknesses which has just been created? The e5 square, most noticeably, is what has been weakened by playing f6 here. Bishop e7, let's go knight to d2, bringing one more piece into the game. Maybe at some point knight e5 could be an idea, and then the knight on d2 could reinforce my position. Let's go rook e1 here. Maybe bishop to b5 was more strong here. I definitely should have played bishop to b5. Okay, let's do it now. Idea now is to go knight to e5 and get my pieces flowing. I think I should be standing quite well here. If an go bishop to a4, b5 would come, so I should definitely take on d7. It is true that I just gave up my bishop pair, but it is all relative. It is, as Fischer says, like it doesn't matter what left the board, but what remains. And here, yes, black has the bishop pair, but I think the squares that black has is very weakened, and I could potentially get knight to d4 very fast. Also, bishop to d6 seems to keep a pawn up for me, which sure is an important factor. So I think I'm doing quite well here. Bishop d6. I think this runs into knight to d4, which hits the rook and the bishop on f5. Yeah, so now I'm an exchange off up here. Takes. Let me just take off the bishop on f5. I just gave this whole speech that I don't like, or that the bishop pair doesn't matter so much, but also it feels good to also get rid of it. So perhaps I'm not so brave. So okay, now I feel like my knight is a bit misplaced here on b3. So maybe I should reroute to f3, where it could hit the e5 pawn, and if e4, maybe my knight will come to d4. Thank you. So okay, or maybe now I see another idea with knight to f1 and going knight to e3, which would soften up the d5 pawn here for black. Yeah, so d4 was played because of this. Let's go knight to g4, put some pressure on the bishop on f6, and follow up with queen to e4. Perhaps now my rook can swing to G3, etc. So let's go rook to E3. I now want to take on F6 and get the rook swinging, as they say. So seems here Lila is a bit low on time, so that's a bit unfortunate. So rook E2 and after knight D5, it seems that I can take the pawn up on D2 and should be the end of the game. So good game. Yes. So I think after you played F6, like the position is very sharp. So maybe like rook to C8 maybe was slightly slow, and these things maybe. But I think the position was very unclear, and so thank you so much for the game. Let's see whom to play now. Let's try a game against Yup from Spain, a FIDE master. So this should be quite fun. E4. Let's go C5 once again, my beloved line, and D6, bishop to B5 check. Let's go knight to D7. Yeah. Okay. Queen takes D4. By the way, it has been quite recently that knight takes D4 has been quite popular. It has gained a lot of momentum, so it's very playable. Let's go E5 here, and I believe H6 is a good move here, as if knight F6 maybe bishop to G5 was a possibility. Knight to C4. Yeah, knight E2 has the idea of bringing the knight to C4. Let's go bishop to E6. This is a very clever maneuver by white here that Yup is doing. So I think here that white has chances of getting an advantage here, but I think black is very solid as well. Bishop to D2. Let's go rook to D8. Maybe go bishop to F8 at some point. Knight to D5 is coming when white feels like it, but for the moment the C2 pawn is quite weak, so it makes sense here for white to delay this. Let's go queen to C6. Maybe at some point thinking about going B5 here. Yes, that's true, Artem. It's always the fight for the D5 square in all kinds of Sicilians. Let's go B5 here, as if white now takes twice on B5, the E4 pawn will be hanging in the end. And I think for the moment the central pawn is a bit more important than the B5 pawn. So let's go bishop takes D5. If I would have taken with the knight on D5, white would have taken back, and my bishop and the queen would have gotten forked. So that would not have been any fun. Queen takes D5. So I think this position is around equal. Maybe it's a bit more pleasant being white, but I think it should be holdable for black here. If I take on D5, the B5 pawn could be slightly weakened. So I should here try to get some counterplay against the C2 pawn. Yeah, it's a very good question, Mia, why the Najdorf is so much more popular than the classical Sicilian, for instance. I think the main reason is that, well, while I was talking, I blundered bishop to A5. I just noticed. That's very unfortunate problem. I'm going to lose this game. But I think it is just since Najdorf is a bit more solid, and you are sort of aiming for a more solid pawn formation in many cases. But I see now that the browser is gaining really a lot of momentum, and it's really quite much played. Maybe not as much still as the Najdorf, but it is getting there, I think. Okay, so it seems like this position is completely lost for me. So it was quite unfortunate to blunder bishop to A5. Yeah, no, it's true that both Fischer and Kasparov played the Najdorf. They also played the King's In and Najdorf with the black pieces, so like the two most sharp openings. So it's remarkable that the two, well, also Magnus, but the two best players of the all times, well, the three best, yeah, have all played the Najdorf, and it was sort of their main opening with the black side. So definitely a high-class opening. So when you are lost in chess, it's all about just trying to keep making moves and to see if you can survive. But it seems like your pair is playing very accurately and it's not really giving me any hope of surviving here. So kudos to him. Okay, let me take on c2. He gave me maybe some style of hope here, though I'm quite sure queen takes d6 should win. Okay, no, it does not win, in fact. Okay, let's go g6 here. And I blunder rook to a7, as I just said this. So okay, then it's time for me to resign, as queen takes f7 is coming, and there's nothing I can do about that. So okay, good game. You played very well. I think the position was around balance. Maybe you were slightly better, but I just blundered this bishop to a5 move. So that's of course very unfortunate. Okay, let's play a new game against the golden boy, knight e7. So let's see, e4, e5, knight f3. I've lost tons of ratings in this Banter Blitz. No good. d3. Okay, so we have the Berlin defense. Scary to see that the Berlin is played so much on the, like, a bit low rated also, but it's played everywhere simply. c3. Yeah, so I'm going d4. I like the setup for white. Okay, I don't think it gives an advantage, objectively speaking, as the Berlin is a very solid opening. I don't think any system really gives, but I think this line leads to quite playable positions, and you can definitely play them for a win with the white side. So let's see, queen to e7. Maybe I could here go queen to b3 with the idea to not allow black to castle for the moment. Let's go with that. It's always good to ask your opponent some questions during the game. So knight to f8, let's go knight to c4. Maybe hit the e5 pawn a bit more. So let's see what the golden boy has up his sleeves here. Bishop to e6. So maybe he has some ideas here of going long castles, or the idea is simply just to go queen to f7 and saying that I have just pinned myself. I'm slightly worried about that, so I'm going to go queen to a4, going out of the potential pin. It's not so usual for black to castle queenside in this kind of position, so still not so sure if that really is black's idea here. But okay, I guess we will find out now what is going to be. So yeah, but I think here many people are quite underrated on this site. Like, they are fighting very, very hard, and it's by no means easy to win games here. So definitely very fighting chess, that's for sure. Bishop to d7. So I think now it's time to say that my knight on c4 has done its job, and just to take it off here on b6. It's of course not possible for black to go a takes b6, as that would hang the rook on a8. And here I could potentially argue that I have made black do some concessions at least. Let's now go. I could go d takes e5, though not sure if this is the most challenging option. Oh, okay, let's play it then. Anyways, d takes e5 and then bishop to g5, trying to get my pieces flowing as fast as possible here. So yeah, bishop to g5, developing with tempo. It's never a bad idea, unless it is. That's the problem with this kind of general rules, is that they are good like as a guideline, but sometimes the chess is a very concrete game, and sometimes the position is just too concrete and the rule just does not apply to that basic position. So you always got to be flexible and to think if this rule really applies to this specific position. Okay, so now I see a tactic. I think here knight takes e5 is quite clever. The point is that after knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, if here black takes back on e5, then the d7 bishop is hanging, and after b5 I was planning to go queen to d4, which hits the bishop and defends my bishop here on g3. So I think I'm going to keep my pawn up, and I have really strong pawns here in the center. That was also a good thing with taking on b6 earlier, was that I forced black to take away from the center, and that could make that my pawns in the center are even stronger. So I think this position should be winning for me here with accurate play. The opposite color bishops, sure, in some endgames that's going to leave huge drawing tendencies, but in the middle game, more often than not, this just leads to even more strong attacking possibilities, as it's very hard now for black to defend on the dark squares. So in that regards, it makes sense here for black to try to exchange off the queens. Not sure if I should allow it though. Let's go queen to e3. This disturbs my coordination slightly, so I'm not thrilled to do this. But you got to do what you got to do. Let's go h3, kick the knight away. It seems like this is a 3+0 game, so at this point it's all about just speeding up, really. So that's a pity, but that's how it will be. So f5, okay, seems like golden ploy is playing really trickily. I don't know how to respond to that move. Let's go queen to d4, exchange of the queens, also defending my bishop, and then swing my rook to g3. Okay, finally I won on time. I think I have slightly better chances, but the game is far from over, really. So very good game, the golden boy. Very exciting game. So let's play a game against Tal Mikael. So I guess that this person is a huge Mikael Tal fan, as am I. So let's have a good game. He takes d5, so he's going for the Scandinavian. Okay, I'm a Scandinavian myself, so I always like when this opening is being played. Let's go bishop to c4. This is kind of a specialty by me, as I played this line a few times. The idea is to go d3 here and to not play in the usual manner. Okay, this line probably does not give white like much of an advantage, but it has the benefit of pulling like black out of the usual patterns. And a lot of Scandinavian players does not like it. They like to play their well-studied paths. So that's why, at least in Blitz, I think this system is quite interesting. Ah, really? You actually played Mikael Tal over the board? That's really cool. Was that in a tournament game, or was it in Blitz, or how it came about? Would be really excited to know. So g4, as we now have castle opposite sides, it's all about who gets fastest to the king once again. That's why these kind of positions are always so exciting. So now black wants to go knight to d4. Yeah, it's very true. No, Mikael Tal, he played a whole new way of chess, which really, it's always, it's, as you say, it's really fun to watch this game. You always get a smile on your face, which is what playing chess should do at the end of the day, in my opinion. As you played Blitz with him in 1987, yeah? So he was still a really strong Blitz player by this point, yes, I've heard. My coach at the chess academy in Norway at NTG was telling me some stories about Mikael Tal, that he was playing Blitz with him, and even if he was a full piece up, he was still not sure if he was going to win. Tal was playing so fast, and you were never sure that the win was in before the game was over. So okay, rook to d8. I think I'm being slightly play there by Tal Mikael, but I should try to not blunder some pieces here. Let's go queen to e4. My idea is to go knight to f3 and exchange off this very strong knight on d4. It's very annoying piece. f5 makes perfect sense here by my opponent, as it does not allow me to play knight to f3. Queen takes f6. Maybe I here should go c3, trying to get knight away by force. Yes, so here knight to e6. I feel desperate about developing my knight on g1 here, so I really should be doing that really fast. So knight to e2, maybe black can take on e3 and take on f8 here. So let me first take on d8 and then play knight to e2. This will not lose my f2 pawn as far as I could see for the moment. So maybe there is something else also. Okay, so let's go queen takes e3. If rook takes d8, I'm just going to go knight to e2, get my pieces out. Yeah, so it makes sense what Tal Mikael is doing, not allowing me to get my pieces out. I'm not happy with how things are going, but okay, let's anyway get my pieces out. And queen takes f2, I'm going to go queen takes e5. So I'm sure here black is certainly not worse. And okay, if I'm not going to lose plenty of rating, I have to speed up dramatically here. So I really have to speed up. Okay, let's go rook f1. It's a really sad move. This game has not been going well for me. Let's go knight to g3, maybe. Takes. Not sure. Am I a pawn down or am I not? Maybe I'm not. But okay, at some point, time is too low. That's the issue with 3+1, as I mentioned, is that we're really just at some point flagging each other, which I do not like. Let's go queen to e4. Again, offering the trade-off queens. Okay, so we take. I was hoping here that the queen would, the king position of white, black here would be weakened, so it could prove to not be. Let's go here and queen h2. Okay, let's bring my king to b3. I really have to speed up really fast here. Okay, let's go check. Queen h3 seems like a step in the wrong direction. And queen to e6. Now I want queen to c8 maybe at some point, or to get some discover check. I really have to speed up here, but I've said this many times. Queen c8. Okay, let's go. Oh, queen check here. Oh, that's a bad move. But took on b7, I was going to lose this pawn. Sorry for not commentating, but I really just don't have time at this point. Just have to speed up really. Oh, I'm really sorry if I'm going to win in this fashion. It's just how Blitz is at this point. I'm very sorry, Tal Mikael. You really played a fantastic game. You outplayed me. Just in a time scramble, it does not matter who has played the best or worse. It's all about who is just fastest, and it proved to be me. So, but thank you so much for the game. It was really a lot of fun. Okay, let's try one more game here against Vexel. Let's hope that he's still here. 3+0 also. So let's see. d5. Yeah, yes, that's also true. We could have offered a draw. I thought since he was still better, I wanted to play on. But okay, so here we get a fianchetto Grunfeld with c6 and d5. c5 I've not really seen. I don't think that this move has a good reputation, theoretically speaking, as it takes away the tension in the center. And if I can go e5, generally speaking, my play in the center proves to be more effective than white's play on the queen side with pushing the b4 and b5, etc. But maybe first I should get my pieces out. Okay, let's go e5, just strike in the center while it's possible. Maybe white wanted e4. I'm not sure. So, but my issue here is potentially that my pieces are a bit underdeveloped, and so that's why I am here playing f6 to. Yeah, no, it's true. It's showing intentions to push on the queen side. I'm really talking a lot about this also in my course on Chessable that was just launched a week ago called Neutralize the Catalan. In many positions, white had the option of going c4, c5, intending to push on the queen side. That is right, but often my central pawns proves to be more important than the queen side play. Sure, in endgame, if the queens are off, it's about passed pawns, then the pawns can be proved to be strong. But in the middle game, much of dynamics is important, and my central pawns here are a really strong asset in my position, which often leads to very good things. Okay, so I should now get my pawns rolling. Let's start with d4 so that I can, after this, develop my bishop to e6 with tempo. Yes, you are right, Artem. I must now play in the center. You must always play on the side that you're better and try to not make moves on the side that you are worse. This is the winning rule as far as I know, and I believe it makes perfect sense. As if you're playing on the side where you are worse, you are just making weaknesses in your position. But here, when you're playing on your strength, you are giving more room for pieces. So now I'm going to go queen to e6 with the idea queen to h3 maybe to go knight to g4 could be an idea. Yeah, let's get it right in there. And it seems like the king position could be quite a issue here for white. Let's go rook to f8. I also have the open f-file. As I just mentioned, endgames could maybe be good for white, not always, but sometimes. That's why I'm keeping the queens on the board here, as I think my dynamical potential with the central pawns here are quite strong here. So, but that is why I'm doing this. I could now go, well, I have several tempting options. Not sure what is the best exactly. Let's go knight to d7 with the idea to push e4 soon. Not so sure if the knight on a4 is really doing so much here. And this could be a bit problematic. Okay, let's go e4 here. Maybe I blundered very badly now. That could be the case, and all I said doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Now it's going to get really tactical and really messy. I'm going to go queen to f7, and after d takes e4, go knight to e5, and just go for it with knight to g4, hitting the knight here on d4, and go knight f4 here. Seems it's working. Rook takes b7. Wow, that's quite a creative move. Let's take on g2. Okay, it seems like my opponent is just really fast, so I just have to play fast now. Let's go rook e6. If I took on c3, he took back with the check. So okay, I'm sorry now. I will not have time to explain so much. I just have to play really fast. As seems like this guy is very experienced in blitz and would love to flag me. So then it will be just about who is fastest, which I'm sorry about. But okay. See. Bit unused to this playing site. Seems I'm also losing on position now, so that's a huge pity. Okay. Good game, Behexe. Okay. I think I was doing really well in the middle game, but at some point I was just too low on time, and in a time scramble you tricked me. So okay, good game, thank you. So let's look. Let's play one more game here. Let's play a game against Ninja Kiwi. I think I know who is this. So let's see. Yeah, that was quite an end game, yeah. So yeah, but he played quite fast, so deserved to win. Seems like I've lost oceans of rating. At the start of this Banter Blitz, I had 2,800. So now I have 2,588. It goes very fast down. Okay, let's play 2 or 3 more games, and then we can call it a day. So I'm not sure about this setup from Black. Just I'm so happy now having 3+2 and not 3+0. After that experience with the time going so fast, it's just good to have some time to think about your moves. Knight takes c3, let's go b3, b takes c3, taking towards the center, and I'm now wanting to put some pressure on the d5 pawn, so that Black at some moment might take on c4, after which I take back, and then later I can push the e4 and get the very strong center. That is my idea. Okay, so maybe on the last minute I should try to not commentate. Okay, that's a very good advice. My last opponent was so fast that even when I speeded up, it was simply too late. He was too fast, so it was hard. Okay, let's go bishop to a3 and go rook e1. I have now ideas with pushing e4 here, trying to get a very strong center. Maybe it was possible for Black here to go f5, though it would weaken also. So I think I will still be doing quite well there. I think since I have very good pieces here, and okay, my pawn structure is maybe not the best though. Not sure how to play this position in the best manner. Let's go knight to e5, maybe could be an idea, or not sure what was the best way precisely. Maybe I should go, okay, bishop to d6, blunders, knight f6. I should not do this, that's for sure. Okay, let's go c5. This is a committal move. It could just be a really poor move, could also be this decent move. I'm not sure. It seems to me that maybe it's a poor move. Okay, I was just trying to avoid bishop to b7 and c5, but I think I really shouldn't have played c5. I'm regretting this choice now here. So okay, let's play this game and then one more game, and we can call it a day. So okay, rook to b8. The idea now is to go b takes c5 and open up the b file and hitting my queen with the tempo. So I don't think I should allow this. Yes, but I think my whole c5 business just lost too much time, and I really lost a lot of my momentum here. So I'm really regretting this choice to be sure. Let's just go rook to e2. Yeah, c5 is Kaasen's choice, maybe. Maybe Kaasen would regret it for the reasons I am now discovering, that it lost a lot of time. But yes, the idea was to try to cramp down the bishop on b7 potentially. But yeah, now Black anyway got to play c5, and I here think Black has quite a decent position, though I don't think I'm worse also. I think the position is around leveled. So it's going to be a huge battle here. I can go knight takes d4, bishop takes, queen takes. Not so certain. Let's, okay, but also if I take back, maybe it's not so great. Okay, now I actually have to calculate here. So knight takes d4, bishop takes d2, king takes d2, e5, knight to c6, queen to c7. Do I have something there? Queen to d5, maybe there is knight to f6. Maybe shouldn't do. So better maybe take with the pawn, but now he's going to go bishop to d5, and I don't think my position is so great here, but maybe also playable. Let's see. Ninja Kiwi. Rook to h3. Okay, I think I'm going to be annoying and play bishop to d6. Maybe he forgot about this little funny move. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm not paying attention here. I just didn't see that my knight was hanging here on f3, which is really unfortunate. It's after bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3. I'm also in a pin, and I'm just going to be a piece down. So I think it's time to resign this game. So can't be blundering like that. But at least my rating now is so low that I'm not losing so much rating by losing by this point. So that's at least fun. So okay, thanks you for the game, Nina Kiwi. It was an unfortunate blunder by me. Okay, let's play against Caro-Kann. I think this is going to be, or okay, let's play 2 more games, depending on how long this game is going to be. I would appreciate if I could get in a Catalan game here at the end, but also fine if not. My course is on sale for a few more days, so I think it would be a good idea to get it on the discount while you can. It is a reporter for the black side against the Catalan, and so I've done a lot of work on it, so would be really glad if you checked it out. In the meantime, seems like Caro-Kann is not really here, or he's thinking about which move he's going to make. Let's give him five more seconds. So, and if not, let's challenge someone else. Okay, let's abort this game and see if someone else wants to play. So let's here play again against Bakarda Saila here with the backside. So I think this is going to be the last game of today. So e4, c5. Let's see. Knight to f3, d6. We are once again b3. So b3 is played a few times. It's not the most common move, as it develops the pieces on the side of the board. Like, it's not directed towards the center. So that's why I'm now going knight to f6, hitting the white center. And yeah, white is going to fianchetto the bishop to b2. I'm also fianchettoing mine. And now I have quite good coordination here. But generally speaking, the piece play here is like, it's quite equal and just a game. So if you just want a game, you can play like this way with white. Maybe I can think about going e6 and d5 at some point. Could also be an idea. So let's go knight to c6. Maybe my knight could also have went to d7, as in the Breyer sometimes. This is quite good. Okay, d4. So now white is suddenly changing to an open Sicilian strategy. Seems like white has quite a few tempos down from a normal version. So now if I take on e4 right away, white is going to take on e4, bishop takes e4, take on d7, and finally have queen to d4 check rather. So I'm first going e5, hitting the bishop on d4, and after the bishop moves, then I'm going to take on e4. I think. As if knight takes e4, bishop to f3, knight takes d2, bishop takes b7, knight takes f1, seems to be in my favor as far as I can calculate. So I think we are still doing well. Also, after bishop to f3, d5 is a very strong possibility also. And as I've just won this central pawn, I think that should be really good news for me. And it should give me a very good position. So knight to c4, maybe the idea now is to go f3 and then later taking the pawn on e6. So let's go d5 here. Maybe this was also a blunder. My idea now is after knight takes e5 to go rook to e8, put some pressure on the e5 knight, and finally on knight to f3 I can go bishop takes b2 and knight to c3, which attacks both the knight, the queen on d1 and the bishop on e2, which is going to win me a piece and also the game. So It's a bit unfortunate, of course, for Blackar dies Hyla, I think was the name, but yeah, okay. I think it's D2. Yeah, it's a nice tactic. Okay, I think I was quite lucky with it. It was not all planned. I think also after rook to E8, maybe F4 was maybe a possibility, as if I then go F6, my bishop on G7 is no longer as active. So seems like it was not working as well. Okay, since it was a short game, maybe we can try to end off this Banter Blitz with a bullet game against You Must Lose to This Bogs. I've not played bullet in quite some time, so you must forgive me if I'm not commentating so much. So in this bullet format, you just have to play really fast. So let's see how it goes. Bullet is always a lot of fun. It's always guaranteed. So yeah, I'm here playing a reversed Kings in Indian. It seems that maybe I can win a piece here, though I will be a bit scared to do it. So let's just go queen takes d4. Okay, but here it seems that I'm winning a piece and a rook here, which is very unfortunate for You Must Lose to this box. Okay, let's get the queens off the board and then take on a8. Here, bishop h3. Let's go bishop to g2. King takes. Okay. I think as I'm theory speaking up, this should be it. So yeah. Okay, let's give him a rematch to see if he wants to play one more game. If not, it's completely fine also. If someone wants to play me in a bullet game, you can challenge me. And, seems not wanting for a moment. So okay, well then I think maybe it's time to call it a day. So thank you so much for watching this Banter Blitz. I hope you enjoyed it, and at least a few of my games were instructive. I lost a few more games than in the last Banter Blitz, so maybe it's a sign you have improved, maybe, or I've gotten worse. I'm not sure, but and anyway, it was a lot of fun playing the Banter Blitz today. Also, please check out my course on Chessable called Neutralize the Catalan. It's on sales for a few more days, so I would be really glad if you would check it out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will probably see you soon. Bye.